Hey guys, today I'm going to do a little chit chat. Get ready with me, maybe tell a little story time. So I'm gonna give a trigger warning just in case. I haven't decided what I'm going to bring up yet, but I'm just gonna talk a little bit about not this past semester, but my fall semester, what was going on, about that video that I posted. I've kind of already addressed a little bit of it in like random videos, but I kind of wanted to talk about it in full. I'm gonna list down below all of the products that I do use so that I don't have to talk about them as I go, because it's gonna slow down the video quite a lot, and you guys know I already talk a bunch. So I have a BoxyCharm. No one told me that they were sending me this. I just got a shipping notification and it just appeared at my door. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started with my foundation. So I will be mixing the Stay Flawless and the Stay Luminous because this is the only foundation I have left right now. Let me know of some good foundations in the comments, please. Help a girl out because I'm basically all out and I'm not quite sure what to do. So let's get started with this story. Basically, starting in August, I started feeling not okay. That's how I like explain it when I tell people, because I don't really know how else to talk about it, because it's just a weird feeling. It's like I'm not depressed, I'm not super anxious, I just like don't feel good. I can tell it's about to come on. So I'm gonna use this e.l.f. Little spongy applicator. Highly recommend if you see it. It's amazing. So that has happened a few times now. It happened back in high school. So junior year, I got really depressed. It was pretty bad, but not as bad as it has actually been this recent time around, and I ended up switching to online. So I stopped going to school my junior year of high school, and I ended up like talking to my teachers and my counselor, and they were able to set something up where I could just come in, get the work that I needed to do, and then turn it in when it was completed. So that helps me stay on track, and I was able to graduate because senior year, I thought I was gonna be fine. So I went back, but I had basically created like a different version of my school in my head because of how I felt the last time that I was there. So I just couldn't do it. And so worked with my principal and my counselor, and they were able to switch me to do online my senior year, and I just took the one English class that I needed. This time around, it was kind of like the same thing. Like school was coming up and I was getting super anxious about it, and I didn't really know why. I tend to get super anxious about school anyways because I personally love school. Like I love my classes. I think college is something that everyone should do if there's something that they're interested in, and you can afford it. There's loans, there's financial aid. It's very expensive, but there's nothing else like it. You can't really get that knowledge anywhere else. With that being said, I decided that I wanted to take the entire semester off because I didn't think I was going to be able to handle a full course load, which is 5 classes. I ended up taking 2 because my parents were like, just try and take 2, and there were these 2 classes that I really wanted to take, and they were only offered in the fall, and so I ended up taking those, and it was perfectly fine. But leading up to that, I was having like a mess of a time. So before I went to London, there was a lot of stuff going on. I got in a car accident. I needed to get a new car because my car was completely totaled. I was in a really bad situation with one of my roommates in my apartment, and I was self-harming again, and the whole thing was just a mess. So things were not great before London, and then when I came back, it was like, oh, all of this is still here? Okay, great. So luckily, like, I got my new Honda, and I was really excited for classes and everything. Now, I don't remember what exactly sparked me not feeling great. I think I was just getting really anxious because in the past, depression was a huge thing. Anxiety wasn't that bad. I would get panic attacks sometimes, but it was more so when I was having like suicidal tendencies. So it kind of made sense that I would be having a panic attack. But this time around, my anxiety was causing depression because I would get so anxious that I would basically make myself depressed. And I didn't even realize that was a thing until I went to my therapist and I was like describing how I felt, and I was like, yep, that makes sense, because I couldn't figure out why I was depressed. I didn't really have a defined reason to be depressed, but it was like very different from how I felt in high school. In high school I had a reason. This time around it was just like I was so anxious, I was like making myself suicidal. It was so bad. And I laugh and I talk about all this casually because I have detached my emotions from the situation basically, so I can talk about it. So I don't want you guys to think that like I don't think this is a big deal or anything that I'm talking about in this story, like that I don't think it matters or that it's not a problem, because I 100% do. This is just the way that I have to talk about it, otherwise I would most likely start crying, and I'm not one to cry on camera, it's not cute. So basically school came around and I made that video. I was feeling, I wish I remembered it. It's like so long ago now. This was back in August, so I can't really remember what exactly sparked it. And it's never something huge because I tend to bottle things up and I don't tell anyone about it. So when I have a breakdown, it's over like 15 different things. So it's very hard to even try and figure out what's going on. It makes the situation 100 times worse. That's why you should talk to someone if you do that like I do. But I was feeling super suicidal, and I made that YouTube video because like I didn't know what I was gonna do. So basically I posted that video. It was basically a goodbye video, a way of me saying, hey, I might not be back because I might, you know, but I'm not quite sure yet. So I ended up coming back actually pretty quickly because I felt really guilty, and I also love YouTube, and it was something that makes me really happy. I love you guys and you guys make me feel better. So I realized I was isolating myself from a lot of the stuff that would actually help me. So for my eye makeup, I'm going to be using this e.l.f. chromatic eyeshadow palette. This is the one in Bird of Paradise, and I'm going to be mixing these two shades for the crease. So like I told you guys, I ended up taking 2 classes. I was talking to my parents and I was like, I don't think I can take any at all, because I thought that, you know, not taking any and having a chance to focus on bettering my mental health would help me in the long run. But I'm gonna tell you right now that it made things 1,000 times worse. And the reason being is because I had too much time on my hands. These 2 classes I thought were going to be like a ton of work. They weren't. One of them did not even require me to go to class, because we only had to go like the first 3 weeks, and then after that he was like, I'm holding class, but it's basically just so you guys can work on your projects. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna go. So I spent most of my days at the gym. The best thing that came out of that was I did not miss a single gym session, I think, in months, which is insane considering how anxious I felt 24/7 and that I wanted to kill myself. I still went to the gym because it was the one thing that made me feel better. I could talk to my gym friends. I like made actual bonds with people in the gym because I had absolutely nothing else to do. These classes barely required any homework. I can't even remember the other one that I was taking, but it was pretty easy as well. I did go to that one, but 1 class a week is like absolutely nothing. I'm now going to take this little golden shade from the bottom of this palette and place it on my eye with a shader brush. So I'm not gonna go too much into everything because this phase lasted like 3 months and there was so much that was going on. And a lot of it I don't really remember that clearly because I was never very sober. So the one thing that did actually help me was good old Mary Jane. And that is because I don't have an issue with it. It makes me feel better. Weed doesn't make me more anxious. I know it does like the opposite for some people. It also depends on strains. A lot of people just don't know enough about it and they get the wrong strain the one time and it doesn't give them the effect that they want, and then they assume that that's what all weed is like, and that's not really the case. But however, alcohol did not help me at all. So I'm just taking that same transition shade again and just blending. Alcohol is a depressant, so everyone should already know that's not going to ever make you feel better if you're not feeling great. And it would give me crazy self-harm urges. So that was a huge problem that I had. The first time that I ever hurt myself was actually in middle school, and I only did it once, and I'm pretty sure it was for attention. I don't even remember, it wasn't relevant, but it's a lot more relevant than you'd think, because once you've done it once, you're gonna think about it again. So I didn't think about it again until high school, but I did, and that was a huge issue. Happened every single day for a month and a half, and then it stopped because I had like vacations coming up, and it's something where it's like it was literally just all straight down my arm, like to like the bottom of my forearm. So it's not something that you can hide, and it was getting warm outside, and it was just making me feel worse trying to hide it. So that was kind of a way that I stopped doing it. I just didn't want to see them there anymore, and I scar like pretty badly right after it happens. And the scars take forever to fade, and the whole thing is, it's just not worth it. Like, please never do it, because I promise you won't be able to stop. You'll think that you're fine, and something will happen, and you'll probably start up again. So I didn't do that again until my sophomore year of college. So a couple years passed by, and I did it for like a couple weeks, and then I stopped, and then I did it junior year on and off for a while. I don't even remember why. I think I was just super anxious. When I get super anxious, it's the first thing that I think of. So that was a huge issue. And then I also started doing it again because of my roommate situation. It's not feeling great. It was not a good time. So that started up again. So I did it a couple times throughout my junior year. And then I stopped, and then senior year started up, and it all just started happening again. So it was really, 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 really bad. When things were really, really bad, I was talking to my one friend who I'm not friends with anymore. I have a whole entire video on this, so I'll put a card on the screen if you just want to watch that, because I'm not going to go into it. But basically, I was telling him everything, way more than I probably should have. I was treating him like a therapist. It was really, really bad, but in the moment I didn't like realize, and he wasn't complaining, so I didn't think that it was a problem until it was clear that it was a problem. But I was feeling super suicidal, and I did attempt a couple times, and that was just an entire thing in itself, which I'm not going to get into it. But I would do things like I would drive and like try and crash my car, and I would mix things that you're not supposed to mix with alcohol, and I was just testing the limits of a lot of stuff. And there was only, I think only 2 times that I'd like actually fully tried to attempt. The other times were just, you know, testing the waters. That sounds terrible, but I don't know how else to talk about this. If I don't joke about it, I'm gonna start crying. So don't mind me, please don't be offended. This is just how I deal with stuff. Around my birthday is when things were actually really, really bad, because I was going to be having a party, and this friend that I was talking to, like, low-key started ghosting me, and I didn't really understand why. So I finally figured out what was going on, had a huge breakdown. This was the second time that I tried to do something. Lee ended up calling the cops to my house the next day because I had told him that I was feeling some sort of way. He didn't do anything, which is why I would usually tell him, because he didn't know what to do, you know. And then Lee contacted him. She was like, hey, have you talked to her or anything? And he was like, no, but this thing happened. And then he started freaking out because he realized, oh shit, like this could actually be a problem. She called the cops to my house. I was fine. I had attempted something the day before, but it didn't work. So I was just hanging out in my apartment. And that's basically when my parents were like, hey, like you need to go see a therapist because this is becoming a major problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this palette again. I'm gonna take this shade. These are kind of more cooler than I would normally use, so I don't know how this is gonna look, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna use this attempt to use this new brush. So what followed all of that was more of a spiral, but this one was more so just with alcohol. The problem with me and alcohol is that it brings out all of the bad coping mechanisms that I have, whether I'm feeling that way or not. If I drink too much, I don't end up in the greatest place. I have learned not to let myself get to that point. I don't know if I like this color. It looks very like dirt on me. I don't know who this is meant for, but I'm gonna go ahead and just use my regular bronzer here. So we're going back to the OG brush. Finally pulled it together. I started doing cognitive behavior therapy with a therapist. I stopped going because I had to go to a different center and it wasn't very close to campus. So naturally I just didn't really have much time, and I was feeling a lot better. And then I got in a relationship and things were great. And so that was basically the end of my semester. So a lot happened, a lot that I didn't really talk about. That's why I was kind of MIA on YouTube. I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and I don't like talking about it. I never like want to throw myself a pity party or anything, so I never get into it. But yeah, I thought I should shed some light on that. And in case you're new here, well, that was just a lot of information you didn't really need. I'm gonna go ahead and use this top golden highlight. See how this looks on my skin tone. Now I do want to address just one other thing, because I get a lot of questions about the scar on my arm, so I'm not going to go into it at all. So I don't know if this is going to make it worse or better for the questions, but it is not self-inflicted. It did happen in February. I do not like to talk about it, so if you see any comments, I get a lot of comments on my hauls and physique updates where you can physically see it, and also on my Instagram and my Snapchat, and I try not to take pictures with it, but it's not self-inflicted. I don't want to talk about it. I am okay. I don't know if I'll ever talk about it, but just in case you ever see someone commenting, could you just let them know that like I'm fine? Because seeing the comments all the time, it just like, it's kind of triggering. So, and I can't just hide it. It's like very much on my arm. So I think the eyeshadow looks pretty good. Look at how intense this looks up close. I swear it's just the lighting. It's really not that bad. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this get ready with me and little story time. Oops, I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but if you sat through the whole thing, thank you. Feel free to leave any comments down below. I want you guys to know I love you so much. I appreciate all of the support. Like, I'll never forget all of those comments that I got on that video when I posted, basically saying that I was leaving. Like, you guys are so sweet and I love you. I'm gonna start crying if I don't stop. So I'm just gonna go, and I will see you in my next video. I'm gonna have tons coming because I am done with school. We go to London June 3rd. Much excite. And yeah, I don't know. If you guys have anything you want to say in the comments related to this video or just something random, leave a comment and I will promise to respond. Words, I'm just gonna